So sacred rage at its finest is the expression of anger. It's the use of the fire element to reveal the unseen aspect of the inner self. Whew. Let's say that again, my love. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Little Reader's House. I am the Little Reader, also known as Amanda. Here in the house, we hold rocks, which I'll show you in a second. We channel the divine. We talk about all things spiritual, a lot of tangents, a lot of downloads, and most importantly, zero need to actually understand anything I'm about to say intellectually. Instead, my sweet, sweet friend, let it wash over you, darling. Breathe in, breathe out. As the shirt says, one of my favorite shirts of all time, lighten up. Let's not take it so seriously, baby. It's just life. And let us proceed. Today I have this beautiful red tiger's eye in my hand. Can you see that, darling, in the light? It looks pretty brown, I'm realizing, in the camera's lens. But I assure you, it's red. And it's a beautiful mix of fire and earth, which is right on topic for today's masterclassito. Ooh, my hair got stuck. So here's what we're going to do before we start. I'm going to ask you if you've seen the last video on this channel. If not, don't worry about it. It was about grounding and gratitude and how the two of these practices combined, fused together, create a platform for your expansion in a sacred, holy container of safety. Today we're talking about what happens when we expand in a sacred and holy way, but without that safe container. When we expand through the vehicle of fire. Hot. So that's why we have this little bad boy, girl, non-binary rock, grounding us with earth, because you will find that if you are particularly prone to what I'm going to talk about today, grounding and gratitude are your first steps. So if you find that you're entering sacred rage on a regular basis, it's time to incorporate a grounding and gratitude practice. Even if you find that you're not experiencing sacred rage on a regular basis, still a valuable tool. So go revisit that. That video is no more than 13 minutes long. And then you'll be ready for this. I have some cards spread out, but we're not going to need them. This is going to go from my soul to yours. And we're praying to the gods for efficiency, for clarity, for something that you can utilize now. I'll say this. As a planet, Earth is very much on fire at this time. And what I mean by that is the entire collective of humanity is experiencing transformation through destruction, through anger, through passion, through rage against entrapment, and through the sudden fuel of cosmic timing being thrown on all of us like gasoline. So what was embers and sparks before is a full-on bonfire. If you, my love, aren't feeling any rage or anger at this time, that's incredible. But I invite you to consider the possibility that there is rage and anger bubbling within that is wearing the face of routine, comfort, depression, anxiety, and the dull hum of existential frustration. If you're really honest with yourself, my love, and I know you are, You'll know if that's you. And if you are like, hey, Amanda, I'm actually experiencing rage every single day and anger, then perfect, my love. Let's go. So all of us together, let's take a grounding breath in before we get started. Deep breath in through the nose if you've got one, if that's available. If not, mouth it, darling. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. And let's learn about sacred rage. When the fire in us as an element becomes constricted or drowned out or overly systemized, meaning that there are so many routines and habits in place that there's no room for spontaneity, there's no room for passion, there's no room for creativity, there's no room for heat, then the fire within us gets a little constipated. And it isn't always routine and habits that cause this constipation. What it always is consistently at the base of sacred rage and anger is the feeling that an aspect of ourself that is true, meaning it's still alive, it's still relevant to the totality of who we are. It could be like a fragmented self, like the inner child who hasn't been looked at for some time. It could be a creative self. It could be an aspect of our sexuality that hasn't been looked at. Or if it's been looked at and acknowledged, it hasn't been played in some time. When that aspect of self begins to feel overlooked or unseen, this is the consistent catalyst for sacred rage and anger. What do I mean when I say sacred rage? I mean that the fire element has taken over the human experience in either a moment or for a duration of time. And suddenly you feel bleary-eyed with the compulsion to act, to destroy, to change, to corrupt, to deconstruct. There is a sudden need to tear down artifice and maybe even in some moments commit acts that would be considered violent. Overturn furniture, for instance. Put fists through walls. None of which I'm condoning. I'm simply pointing out that this is the behavioral exhibition of sacred rage. And why is it sacred? I'm glad you asked. It's sacred because it needs to happen in order for this part of ourself that hasn't been seen to be seen. Here's where spirit comes in with the instruction, however. Simply committing acts of violence, simply putting fists through walls or overturning furniture or slashing tires, or get this one, really popular for rage, working out, exercising, which is committing an act of violence against the muscles of the body so that they'll grow bigger and stronger and better, allegedly. All of these acts are not allowing that inner fragment of self to be seen. They're not allowing potentially an inner child or a creative self or a wounded self or a self that wants to be vulnerable or a self that wants to be known. I'm not even going to put a label on it. It could be some archetype. We've talked about archetypes here before that hasn't even been defined socially at this juncture in time, space, reality. It could be the unknown archetype. It could be the youest aspect of you. But as long as we are exercising rage through this indirect fashion, even if it's confrontation with another person, we'll get to that in a second, it is not addressing the root cause. So sacred rage at its finest is the expression of anger. It's the use of the fire element to reveal the unseen aspect of the inner self. Whew. Let's say that again, my love, but slower and better. Anger, frustration, rage, even if it's unexpressed through behavior, or even if it's expressed in a really innocuous seeming way through movement or sound, is not fulfilling its purpose if it's not revealing the aspect of self that wants to be revealed. So, what does that mean for you, my sweet darling, who is so ready to be seen, so ready to be known? Sacred rage. Allow the rage, allow the anger to give voice to the self that wants to be known. Here's how we do it. First of all, we understand that anger doesn't happen in a vacuum. What do I mean by that? Anger is typically collaborative. If you have anger, but you don't know who to direct it at, you will direct it toward yourself. If you have anger and you do know who to direct it at, you will direct it at someone else. But anytime anger is involved, there are at least two parties at play. There is the one who is angry, the one that is trying to express, and there is the one who is trying to be seen. There's always a split when it comes to anger. Our objective is to turn those two to look at one another. If there are people in the middle, if there's a third party, if there's a person we're mad at, you can actually remove them from the equation. Circling back to confrontation, this is why I said it's not actually necessary to use sacred rage as your ally. You don't actually need the person present that you're angry at. You don't need the person or people in the room that you want to confront. All you need is to take the one who is angry, who is expressing, and the one who wants to be seen, and turn them toward one another. Now, some people get onto this. They get onto it well. But instead of using the rage as a vehicle to see themselves, they use it as a vehicle to punish themselves. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to understand. We're using the fire element. We're trying to see what has been neglected, what is not seen. We are not confronting any of the people involved in this anger fest, if there are any, yet. All we're doing is this. In a moment of rage, in a moment of anger, in a moment of the need to move, the need to give way to the fire, we embrace movement, first and foremost. So, those who go to the gym to work out their grievances in life, you are on to something, my loves. You're actually doing it quite right. You just haven't finished the process. If you have the ability to move, if your physical body supports it, because not all bodies do, you take yourself into movement when you start to feel that anger and rage. It may begin as a walk, if that's available to you. It may be a run. It may be a powerlifting session. It may be axe throwing. It may be anything, but you begin with the physical movement. If physical movement is not available, or you're perfectly capable of physical movement, but it's not appropriate in the moment, you switch to another kind of movement, a kind that transcends everything. Does anyone care to guess? Okay, that's fine. Breath. Did one person say it? Breathing. This movement achieves the same purpose. Personally, I can drop a link down below of the type of breathing I do when I'm in a moment of sacred rage. Why does breath do anything? Because it's moving the element of fire and rebalancing it. Fire is an element that moves, unlike earth. It thrives when it's attended to in movement. So, you either move your body or you move your breath. And if you're feeling really transcendent, you do both. take a practice that combines movement and breath. There are so many of them. Once you've done this, you're going to acknowledge to yourself that you will successfully see the part of you that needs to be seen now. And you will ask it to come to the fore, the foreground, the forefront. Now, this is for the courageous, darling. But if you've got fire and rage in you, I can tell you something that's going to maybe blow your mind. And I hope it peps your step a little bit. If you have fire and rage within you, it means that you will be successful in seeing the aspect of you that needs to be seen. Because that fire is not just the foundation for rage. It's the foundation for courage. And it's a sign that you are ready to witness an aspect of yourself that has not yet been seen. So you feel the rage come on. You feel the anger come on. You then move either your body or your breath. And then you acknowledge to yourself, I will now witness the aspect of myself that has not been seen. Gently, you turn off the mind's attempt to construct something, because it will. It will start out with a story. Oh, well, when I was 3, or this is all because Larry is an absolute son of a... The mind's going to go somewhere with it. We gently click it off. We can say, mind, hold your water for a moment. We're going to let the unseen element speak. And then you start to channel it. You don't have to be a channeler to be successful at this in any way. In fact, you can even spend the first 2 minutes of this process letting the mind spill out what it thinks the problem is. As long as your objective and your intention is to get to the unseen element of you, you will get to it. As long as you're going to allow the fire that is introducing itself as rage to witness the innocent, hidden part of you, you will see it. So here's what you'll do. You'll take either a pen and a paper or your cell phone. I'm gesturing at the camera because it's my cell phone in there. Hi, phone. You'll take your cell phone, a pen and paper, and you'll begin to talk. And you're going to either speak, dictate into this phone, or write down with a piece of paper, or start texting yourself on your notes. You're not calling anybody else. You're not calling a friend. You're not calling the person you're mad at. None of that. You are witnessing as anger the unseen aspect of you. And it might go something like this. You take your phone. You start dictating into it, or speaking into it rather, voice recording. Right now, I'm full of rage because Larry is a son of a... And I really wish that I could commit violence against him. Just kidding, for legal purposes, this is an exercise. Do not come after me. Might be valuable to say that. Anyway, I'm so angry right now because there's a part of me that's not being seen. And that part of me is, really, really angry. That part of me feels small. That part of me feels frustrated, like I never get taken seriously, like everything I say never matters, like in a world where everyone has their mouth free, I'm the only one with duct tape on it. And that makes me feel completely powerless. It reminds me of being a kid when I used to get in trouble for sharing my opinion. Anyway, this anger is now witnessing that aspect of myself, crying out for help, crying out to be seen. That aspect of me just wants to be heard and wants what I say to be taken seriously. And I'm realizing now as I say this aloud that I've never listened to that side of myself before. That I myself often silence that aspect, anticipating rejection, believing that it's not worth being seen. And I'm sorry. And I'd like to ask that aspect of myself, how can I change that? What action can I put into place? And how can I give you voice? How can I give you voice? So that next time, even if we have a problem with Larry, who's a son of a... you and I won't have a problem with one another. Because you'll know I got your back. Boop. That's me turning off the voice recorder. Thanks for listening. Small example. Something to play with. You're riffing, darling. It's play. It's play. In all of your anger, in all of your rage, your sacred, holy rage, where you just want to... you know what I mean? Introduce a little lightness to it. Just kind of turn up the corners of the mouth just a touch. And when you write out, transitioning from anger to the unseen, don't analyze it. You don't have to take it anywhere. You don't have to send it off. You don't have to get it assessed, unless that's relevant to your individual situation. Instead, it's about witnessing what has gone unwitnessed for so long. Here's the thing about this practice. The more you do it, the more you'll love it, the more fun it becomes, the more you get to know yourself. But then something starts to happen, and it's crazy. The rage starts to go away. The anger, the simmering anger and frustration starts to melt as you give voice to the voiceless, as you use your anger as a witness. But something else unexpected disappears too in that. Loneliness. Because the link between anger and loneliness is a deep and profound one. And the more lonely we feel without witnessing and loving these aspects of ourself that are unseen, the more we'll either project it onto others, that anger, or internalize it against those unseen selves as if they are the enemy. But you do this a few times, and I mean really a few, and the proportion of liberation that you will begin to feel as a result of this process will transform you. If you combine that with the exercise that we spoke about last week of grounding in gratitude, you will be one unstoppable force, because you will be making it known to the universe, which happens to be you, that every single aspect of yourself is loved. And as within, so without. Until next time, my sweet friend, that is where we are leaving it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. If you want more fun things having to do with moi, check the description box. And until we meet again, I am sending you all of the love that I've got. It is always more. It is never less. Because you, my sweet friend, you are so very worthy of it. I love you. To the moon and beyond. Bye for now.